My name is Fabian Rivera-Chávez. I'm an assistant professor at UC San Diego in the Department of Pediatrics in the Division of Biological Sciences. My lab is interested in understanding how bacterial pathogens that infect the intestine use their disease in order to promote their growth and transmission during infection. First of all, the vaccine is not based on a live virus. Like, for example, the polio vaccine, which is based on a live virus, which was a very successful vaccine. The vaccines are based on a technology called mRNA technology. And this is a really ingenious way to design a vaccine because mRNA cannot possibly live for a long time in your body. And so once the vaccine enters your body, it enters your cells and teaches your cells to make one protein. And once it does so, the mRNA disappears. So there's no way for this mRNA to integrate into your DNA. There's been some misconceptions about whether this vaccine can modify your DNA. This is completely impossible because mRNA just cannot possibly integrate into DNA. And so the vaccine is very safe because it's not a live virus. mRNA is unstable, it cannot last very long in your body. And so the vaccine will simply enter your body, teach your cells to make a protein that when the virus then later enters your body to cause an infection, your body will say, hey, I've seen this protein before, and then it will attack the virus and not allow you to get sick. And so there's nothing to really worry about when it comes to the vaccine. But importantly, the virus itself is very dangerous. And so if you're not vaccinated, you're really putting yourself at risk for contracting the real infection. And this is much more risky than getting the vaccine. One of the reasons it's important to communicate the importance of vaccination in underserved communities is because communities of color are disproportionately at risk for contracting COVID-19. So it's extremely important for us to educate these communities about the importance and also the safety of COVID-19 vaccines. I think there is really a lack of outreach to these communities, and combined with the misinformation that's present on social media and just in the general public, this has really exacerbated vaccine hesitancy in these historically marginalized communities of color. To illustrate this, a recent study has shown that non-Hispanic whites are being vaccinated at twice the rate of blacks and almost 3 times the rate of Hispanics in the US. And so if we want to really achieve vaccine equality, I think it's really important that we do more direct outreach to these communities and educate them on these topics. I think it's important to be aware that there's a long history of medical abuse and maltreatment of Black and Hispanic communities in the United States. And I really think that this is at the root of vaccine hesitancy. So I think first that we need to acknowledge this and work hard to earn back the trust of these communities. Hispanic communities are also fearful of interacting with the government, and this is because of recent anti-immigration policies and sentiments. So it's important for us to really approach the issue of vaccine hesitancy not with coercion or judgment, but with empathy and understanding of the history of how these communities have been treated in the past by the medical community. And one other thing I want to mention is that if you are getting the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, it's really important not to skip the second dose because the second booster dose elicits a tenfold or 10 times more antibodies than the first dose. And so these higher levels of antibodies that are produced from the second dose may actually protect you better from these variants. I think it's important to remember that vaccines are really the best tool we have to defeat the pandemic. And as we do continue to vaccinate, this is really the way that we're going to get closer and closer to a semblance of normalcy.